So now let's discuss the patterns we're going to need in order to make this fire hydrant. So we look at our visual detail list and we start splitting it up by pattern. And what it turns out is we need 8 patterns in order to do this fire hydrant. So the paint has 4 different patterns. The first one is it needs different colors in different spots. It has a paintbrush bump pattern to it. It has a pattern that changes how reflective the surface is in different spots. And the paint is worn off to reveal the metal in a specific pattern. So that's our 4 patterns for the paint. Then the metal has one pattern for the slight blemishes in the color, and we don't really need anything more specific than that because there isn't a lot of metal in this example. Then the rust has a specific color, it has a specific bump, and it's placed on the surface in a very specific pattern, which gives 3 more patterns. So once again, that is a total of 8 patterns we'll need in order to make this. So now let's break up our list into general and specific patterns. So general patterns are patterns that pretty much cover your entire object. Like in our fire hydrant, a general pattern would be the brush strokes in the paint. Chances are you don't need to have a specific brush stroke in a specific spot, you just want the whole thing sort of covered in brush strokes. Or another example would be the color of the rust. You don't really care that the rust is a specific color in a specific spot. All you want is for the rust to look generally the color of rust. So then specific patterns are patterns that have to appear in very specific areas. Like in the fire hydrant, a specific pattern would be the spot to show the rust, because the rust only appears in very specific places, such as where 2 objects intersect. Now, a couple of notes. If you've ever seen a traditional painter paint a painting, what they tend to do is they tend to first block in the color, and then they add the little specific details. So they don't go and just start detailing one corner of the painting and move all the way to the other corner of the painting and just put the same level of detail everywhere. They'll start off with the big shapes, the big colors, and then they'll keep refining it and refining it and refining it until they get all the details. And that's kind of like what this technique is. So the blocking in of the color is sort of the general patterns, and then the specific details are the specific patterns you add afterwards. And another note is that different companies deal with these jobs slightly differently. Like, for example, some companies have a shader job and a painter job. And the shader person is the person who handles the materials and the general patterns, and the painter is the person who handles the specific patterns. Or other companies have shader writers and painters, in which case the shader writer is the one who usually codes the shader, and everything else is handled by the painter. And then some other companies, it's one person that does the shader and the specific and the general patterns. They do the whole process. So no matter how it's done and how it's split up, these same things still need to happen. And so you can use this technique no matter how your company decides to split up the workload.